All right, getting you set for the Wildcats and the Washington Huskies. I think it's fair to say that this is the biggest game of the Kevin Sumlin era. David Kelly with you, joined as always by Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, we had kind of begun to roll that steam on Monday, saying that this was a game where the fans really needed to come out. It looks like that's going to happen. We're going to have a sellout at the stadium today.
Well, I think everybody is excited about the game, Dave, and also I think there's only about probably 86 guys that believe they can win this game because Vegas has got us getting killed, by 9. The line I think is 9, and I think that I believe our guys think they can win this game, and I think that they're going to.
Well, and I think the reason that maybe that Vegas has that line is because Washington comes in here as a really impressive defensive team, and I think you've got a clash of titans. You've got one of the best offenses in the Pac-12 Conference in the Arizona Wildcats, and you've got one of the best defenses in the Pac-12 Conference in the Washington Huskies. And the thing I think that concerns me when I look at Washington's defense, obviously, is that they're big up front and they're senior and junior laden up front.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, their defense has only given up one play for 40 yards or more and 11 plays of 30 yards or more the whole season. So they don't give up big plays. We make big plays. So it's going to be a clash of the Titans. So we're going to see who's going to be able to run the ball. And last week, Peterson said, we were just out physical, so expect a very physical game. They're going to try to come out and punch first.
Well, and they're going to try to come out and really get back to being who they are, and I think that that's obviously a huge concern. You would have maybe liked to have seen them come in here off of a win versus a loss, because I think that really now kind of had them circling their wagons and has them back focused on what they need to do. Offensively, as you mentioned, though, everybody that we've seen, pretty much even in the games that they've won this year, teams have been able to run the football. Under 100 yards, like what we've seen the last 2 games from the Arizona Wildcats, isn't going to cut it in this particular ball game.
We're going to have to be very physical up front, Dave, and that's, I think, our line is. It's a challenge to you. It's a challenge to you. They're going to say that you're not going to be able to run. What are you going to do? And I think with JJ possibly playing and our stable of backs, we should be able to do that. We should be able to run the ball against these guys. And I know they're big up front. Everybody says they can't run. This is when we have to run, and it's a big challenge for University of Arizona. And I think we're physical enough. We're not lacking physicality, and I think we were able to do this.
Now, one of the things that's interesting about the Arizona Wildcats run game, Glenn, and it kind of maybe skews the stats a little bit, and Kevin Sumlin even talked about this in his press conference this week, is with those jet sweeps where they kind of flip the ball to whether it's Castile or somebody coming back. Those are run plays, but they go in the stats as pass plays. So you're getting some big chunk runs off of those types of plays, but they're just not showing up on the stat sheet as that.
Yeah, the guys up front for Washington's defensive line, they're big guys. Let's run them lateral a little bit, and then we're going to have to start to try to gash them, with Brightwell up the middle, doing some of those sweeps, and then doing some of the things that we've been doing, the screens and things like that, the bubbles. Everything, those are kind of things that make that defense run. One thing that you see with Washington is that if they're not in sync on offense, if they're sitting on the sideline for a long period of time, they get a little nervous. They start getting a little erratic, and they're not efficient.
Well, Stanford had them on the sideline for 40 minutes in that ball game last Saturday night. That was a huge key in that ball game. And you mentioned big plays. They don't give up big plays, and I think big plays are going to be important in this ball game because when you're talking about this offense for Washington, you don't want to give them any big plays because where they have struggled is trying to put together drives, getting into the red zone, punching the ball into the end zone. You look back at that USC game. USC gave them a bunch of short fields with turnovers, and they were able to turn those types of opportunities around, but you don't want to give them big plays in this ball game.
Yeah, we don't want to give up any big picks, and Khalil take care of the ball. And also, our receivers I'm expecting a big game from Jamari Joyner because the inside slot guys have got to make those plays on the 3rd and shorts. Those got to be able to get first downs. Stanley Berryhill. Our wide receivers have to have a huge game this game because we have to make those 3rd and 6s, those ones, and move the chains. If we just get ahead of the chains and on this game, it's going to be a different ball game.
Absence of a tight end, which we really haven't seen in the U of A passing game, that's why that is important for this offense because that's one of the things that Stanford was able to utilize their tight ends across the middle in that ball game Saturday night. And on the flip side, this could be really the first game that the U of A defense faces a team that will throw the ball to the tight end. So coverage across the middle is going to be important. Jace Whitaker did not play well, I didn't think, in that game last Saturday. Even Sumlin came out earlier this week and said so as well, that he struggled. You're going to need a strong game out of your senior this coming weekend.
I think Chase is going to turn it around, man. It's a big-time game. And, you know, kids have bad games. They do have bad games, but it's about how the turnaround is. It's a tough turnaround against Washington, but I think that he's going to be able to make that turnaround. And I'm getting more comfortable with our defensive backs. They're playing better. There's no hands up, looking around, saying we're not seeing that as much as we saw the last 2 years. We saw that with our defensive backs, always thinking about where's the coverage. We missed the coverage, So we're getting better with that, and I have confidence that our guys can be able to handle this.
Yeah, and I mean, from my standpoint also in this particular ball game, and I know we've talked about it being, a little bit up on Monday about how it's another late start, but I looked at some of the numbers, and we mentioned it a little bit in our breakdown on Monday. I mean, again, this is another national television opportunity for this program. Their last 16 games at home, 11 of them have been on a network that people can actually see in another part of the country. That is huge. I know people don't want to hear that, but that is huge for Arizona to be seen on whether it's ESPN Network or whether it's FS1, a network where if I go home, like I tell people all the time, I go home to Cleveland. If the Wildcats are on Pac-12 Network, I can't watch it at my mom's house. But if they're on ESPN or FS1, I can watch the game, and that's what we're talking about in terms of exposure.
And Dave, the thing is about it, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It's going to be a sold-out crowd. I said we're going to have this place packed. This is going to be impactful for our players. We have to be out there, and it's going to be in our advantage, I think, because they haven't seen that all year, and it's going to inspire our guys, I believe. And we just got to be able to come out. We can't have a slow start. If we have a slow start, it's going to be an ugly night.
Yeah, because, I mean, Washington's the kind of program that when they win, they generally start fast, and then they just grind you out, and you have to play from behind. And this is not a team you want to play from behind against. All right, Arizona and Washington will be back to break it down for you on Monday morning.